you look around the league, there's a lot of teams, in the hunt. We're in the hunt. You sit here and you say, hey, Thanksgiving, and close to the end of November, and we're in the hunt. When you sit around that table tomorrow, you're saying we're in the hunt. And there's a lot of teams that wish they were in the hunt. Well, we're in the hunt.
The NFL draft. The only thing with more hype surrounding it, with less actual meaning, is holidays. Like the Hallmark store should sell NFL draft decorations so my aunt can get like an NFL draft porcelain cat, because it's just so fucking stupid. It's like Thanksgiving. This is the In the Hunt cast. We're going to talk about this stupid thing and act like it matters with myself, Greg Bow, Kyle Turner, Sean Murphy, and Duffy's joining us from WCMF, an actual radio station doing his show in the mornings called The Break Room out of Rochester. Thank you for joining us, Pat.
Oh, I miss you guys so much. It's so good to see your faces and how you've aged in the last 7 months. Great, man.
It's crazy that I now have a proceeding hairline. I used to go back. Now
I was gonna say we all aged like presidents just doing the podcast.
Maybe the Moderna shot makes you grow hair. Like we're all gonna find out. Like everyone's gonna come out of like seclusion and they're all gonna have like luscious locks from Pfizer shots or something.
Greg, you didn't watch every second of the draft? This seems like up your alley.
I watched some of the draft. I will admit that I did that, and it is a spectacle. And you know how much I love spectacles, but it's just so stupid. Like, sure, some of these players are going to make an impact. The percentage of players that make an actual impact is very little, but like the guy in the recliner, the hugs, like all that shit. It's just really, you can do better. You're $1 billion industry.
The draft is my second favorite football day of the year. Maybe third. I think it's third. It would go opening weekend, then home opener, then draft. And then obviously the playoffs are a different thing that's, unrankable because they don't always happen. And so this would be my third favorite day of the year.
Duffy, do you watch the draft?
So I do. And I'm like Greg, it doesn't matter. Like, I know it doesn't matter, especially as a Bills fan. Like, we've been through enough of these where it's like, oh, this is the guy, this is the one, here it comes. But I'm glad you brought up the chair, because that made absolutely no sense. Like, the NFL is great at putting on a show, and they somehow made a business meeting and designed it for television entertainment, and they brought out 50,000 actual people on a rainy night in Cleveland, and just from a distance, like, the spectacle is amazing. And you have these A-list musicians that show up and they put on a show, and you have these kids, their lives are being changed, and they focus on these individual stories, and they put these great pieces together. And to top it off, here's a chair that was in Goodell's basement, and this random fucking asshole nobody cares about, dressed like the biggest douchebag you've ever seen. Like, they picked out the biggest dressed douche from every franchise and put him in the chair. And they also did nothing with them. You didn't hear from them. They didn't speak to the draft pick.
They told them the pick, I think. Didn't he whisper the pick to that person in the chair before
he showed them the card, but I mean, whatever.
But that did nothing, because you couldn't even see the reaction on their face because they had a fucking mask on. Like, what's the point? It was like, you know what it is? It's like your uncle, right? It's your first communion. Your uncle's going to take care of it. And he books this beautiful banquet hall, and he gets this amazing caterer with all this steak. And by the way, his ex-wife's going to give the kid a hand job, and she's missing 3 fingers. Like, that's what it comes down to.
I like Greg getting a taste of his own medicine with those comparisons. Normally Greg's like, I do the hand job comparisons as a podcast.
Oh, was that great? I'm sorry I took your hand job away.
No, I love that. I'll sit back. You do the heavy lifting. You tackle the 2-fingered hand job jokes, and I'll coast. You want a job on the I've been dying to quit this cast since it started. That torch is yours.
I will say,
it was beautiful.
It made me miss the 2020 draft, because that draft was so different. We got to see into people's homes. It was kind of fun. And then this year it was back to kind of normalcy. And you forget, like, the easy chair thing was so weird. I like the idea of the fans getting a lot of them got pictures with the draft picks, which is cool, but it's so strange. I read an article in the Ringer, and I copied and pasted this sentence because it was exactly what was in my brain.
It's a Lord of the Rings magazine, Kyle, just so you know what the Ringer is.
There's a quote that said, "There's nothing particularly unusual about the chair. It truly underscores how unlikable and unrelatable Goodell is that owning and using a chair felt like the most outrageous thing he'd ever done." And it was very
I got
true.
a wacky recliner.
And it was just, that's a perfect sentiment of everything we remember about the 2020 draft. You remember seeing what's his name, Kingsbury's like crazy house, or the Mike Vrabel's like kids doing stuff. You don't remember the brown chair Goodell was sitting in. It's such a dumb corporate idea of what they think we like.
Yeah.
I
love
wish
chairs.
I wish the draft could go back to when it was just Saturday and Sunday. It would start at like noon, and it would just go from like noon to 8 on Saturday, and then noon to 8 on Sunday. And it's wild to think, before they made it an event, like if they were still doing that same setup, Trevor Lawrence would just be drafted Saturday at noon, and it wouldn't be a massive event about it. It would just be like, oh, one of the greatest prospects of all time, Saturday at noon. I hope you're not busy.
And like the great thing about the Saturday at noon thing too was, as a football fan, it gave you this air of superiority, because now you can't miss the draft. It's primetime television. It's Thursday night. There's entertainment. Like, everybody watches the draft. It's one of the highest rated television programs of the year.
Yeah.
But like, and fairly recently, nobody watched that shit. You're right. Like, it was 2:00. It would start at 2:00 the first round. The second round would start at noon. 2:00 is even more ridiculous than noon. Like, what the hell starts at 2:00 on a Saturday? But like, as a 15-year-old football fan, I know I would go in sophomore year the next Monday and be like, oh, did you watch a draft? Oh, no, you didn't. You didn't watch the draft. You watch football. You didn't watch it. You didn't see it. I saw Eric Flowers get drafted in the first round. You didn't see it.
And you'd also get obsessed with like the late round picks, thinking you're smart. Of like, I remember, I don't know if you guys know this guy's name, but he was like almost like a Norwegian, maybe.
Leif Larson.
Leif Larson. And he was
UTEP.
He was
University of Texas, El
insanely
Paso.
strong. You could like bench press offensive linemen. I'm like, this guy's gonna be amazing. He's gonna be the new, and like, he never played a snap. But I was all in on Leif.
Sean, I covered the training camp in Rochester. It was the first year in St. John Fisher, and Leif Larson was there, and I interviewed him. He's this, like, there's a language gap, obviously, but I don't care what language he's speaking. That guy was not a thinker. Like, he was just he was a sack of flesh.
Fun fact, he is now a professional boxer in whatever weird ass European country he lives in now.
England. So, speaking of big people, interesting of Brandon Beane to draft the Monstars from Space Jam. Is that what we're going for? Are we trying to beat Michael Jordan's cartoon basketball team, the Bills, next year? Like, what the hell? Was there a single guy underneath 6'10" that the Bills drafted?
When they picked Rousseau, it was funny. I'm like, oh, I didn't expect this. Why did they draft him? And they're like, when they interviewed him, he's like, I'm 6'7" and I love God. I'm like, okay, I get it. Yeah, okay, yep, that makes sense.
Clap it up.
I thought he was gonna put on like an army coat right after that. Did I mention about the troops?
Yeah.
Was anyone else alarmed watching Rousseau walk down the catwalk from the green room? It looks like he doesn't know how to use his legs. Like, go back and watch that video. He's so tall. Like, he must have just grown 14 inches the night before, because he's literally like, I made it to Goodell. Okay.
I'm Googling it right now.
Bro, I'm telling you, like, I remember, like, oh, okay, this kid's good. Oh, he can play one good season. He started walking, and I'm like, oh, God, what did we do?
Well, isn't he super young? Isn't he like, he just turned 21 or something? And he has braces. He could be 12.
Yeah.
What if he keeps growing?
The Bills love those defenders that have yet to legally drink.
Sure. Well, what do we think about? It seems to be, in the last couple of drafts, the big thing is they're picking like physical specimens and just hoping they turn out, and obviously so far it did for Josh Allen, which is the one you most want to get right, but the jury's still a little out on Edmonds, Knox, this draft class. Like, it'll be interesting to go back in a couple of years and be like, was this strategy right, or were they, because right now Allen is the only kind of surefire hit of this strategy.
Well, I mean, I think you could put Milano in that surefire hit of that strategy too, right? Like, that kid is just he was a physical wonder, right? Like he could play safety. Is he going to play linebacker? Who the hell knows where he's going to go? I think it shows a lot of faith in the people that coach your players up. You're right. I mean, it's this arrogance where 4 years ago, it's what the hell are you doing? And now it's you're all a bunch of geniuses. And 2 years from now, it could be what the hell are you doing all over again.
It's one of those weird things that, especially with the first round picks, from the majority of rankings I've looked at, they had Rousseau. I want to say Russo, but I know that's not it. It's Rousseau. It's just another name I'm going to get wrong forever. A lot of rankings had him 5th, 6th in that area, and they took him pretty much 3rd defensive end. And you just have to, same thing. You go, well, 10 different analysts throughout CBS, NFL.com, ESPN, Mel Kiper, all had this guy 5th and 6th, but we had him 3rd. So I guess I just have to trust Brandon Beane with this. And then in 2 years, if he doesn't turn out, you're like, do I not trust you anymore? What happens?
It is an interesting year in the little amount of college football that was played, the access they didn't have. So if you have a team that works, you have an advantage. Not that I think there's an NFL team that like bought a magazine the day before the draft and tried it that way, but insight I think matters more this year than any other year. Yeah, I mean maybe so. But yeah, so it's an interesting year to find out. It's a year where I'm not afraid of projections as much as I was, but it's such a fucking crapshoot every year. Like that's what I was complaining about right off the bat. Like no one knows who's really going to be good.
Well,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You're the guest. You fucking.
Yeah, how dare you try to fucking talk over me? No, but to your point, Greg, like we were talking about this in the break room last week. Like this is the first round pick we've had in 20 years where they don't have to be good immediately for the season to be successful. Because last year, there was no first round pick with Epinesa. Every year before that, like, hey, the same line was always, if this guy can play immediately,
So a big thing, which
hold on, pause. I didn't, because I'm recording, so I didn't get I just froze. So hold on, we got to take.
We're not fucking talking over again because your internet's bad. We were talking about the draft picks, and they didn't take a running back. There you caught up. What do you want? A transcript?
Yeah, kind of. I kind of do.
We were talking about the NFL draft.
All you have to do is send $25 to CBS. You get a fucking handwritten one from Sean. Here you go.
That's right. Guest of today's show. No, we were talking about that.
I thought you were going to say we have to start over, and I was going to be like, let's just change days, man. Let's just put out what we got. You take my recording. Anything Sean said is out. I saw a lot of people on Twitter, especially after round 2, where they took Boogie. A lot of people were questioning the not taking a cornerback. And I think I told Sean this, pass rusher is a good pass rusher is more important and more rare than a good cornerback. And I think there's only maybe a 10 like really, really good pass rushers. And I think there's a lot more just solid cornerbacks, not Trey White, but this level of like, yeah, they're starters, but like Mario Addison is a starting caliber defensive end, but he's not taking over the game. You know what I mean? So I think after quarterback, and building up your offensive line, having that monster pass rusher is way more important than finding a cornerback 2.
Everything you said, I agree with 100%. Problem is, Sean McDermott and Leslie Frazier rotate all of their defensive linemen like every 3 plays. It's not like, the old Bruce Smith, Cornelius Bennett, Jeff Wright days where they're going to be on the field the whole time and they're going to get numbers. Like Mario Addison and Jerry Hughes for the snaps they had on the field this year were unbelievably good, like wildly underrated. The only problem is we were seeing those guys they brought in from Carolina and Harrison Phillips a heck of a lot more than other teams who use that rotation. And I guess that's my question when it comes to taking all those DNs. I get it. You're going to rotate them a ton, so they're all going to get touches. But if one of them does stand out, are they going to decide, are they rotating because they have to right now? Or are they rotating because, well, this is what we're going to do? Like if one of them stands out, are we going to see that person on the field a hell of a lot more than the others?
Well, and I do also think that, I mean, unless Dane Jackson really comes on, or one of these undrafted free agents, or they get someone who's cut by another team during camp, I mean, if Trey White ends up even missing a couple of games, it's devastating for this team.
I don't think so.
I'd rather have Josh Allen miss 2 games than Trey White. I just think that I don't trust. I'd rather have.
What do you even say?
I'd rather have Trubisky play 2 games than have a cornerback room of Levi Wallace and Dane Jackson.
I think
they get torched all day long. We barely trusted Levi Wallace last year.
So I think that if you're going to go through this bullshit with the draft, like if you're going to do all this work and grade players personally, like, get really in depth with it and put in that work and all the man hours to do it, and it comes to the draft and it's your turn and there's a cornerback that's like 20 players below the guy you graded, I think that's, stupid. But at the same time, at least go by what you're saying. Draft the best guy available, because if there's a guy that's like slotted that much lower than the guy you can have, take the good guy. Like more good players on your roster than bad players. So I'm glad they didn't just draft cornerbacks for the sake of drafting cornerbacks.
I saw a good tweet from somebody. I wish I could give them credit, because most tweets I bring up on this show I shit on. But they had a good tweet of saying, like, even if, let's say, the Bills somehow ended up with Patrick Surtain Jr. there, if he somehow fell to 30, or the Bills traded up and got him, the best cornerback in the draft, they go get him, and they face the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, he's not going to be able to cover Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce. It's just not going to happen. No one can cover those guys. It's not going to happen. The Bills could have beat them last year with a different defensive plan and the same players.
Yeah.
So adding a cornerback to that room isn't making us better than the Chiefs. A different game plan on defense and better performance out of the offense.
I'm not criticizing the draft per se. I like that they got these guys. I think that cornerback room is very worrisome, especially if there's an injury. I mean, we spent the past 5 years being like, they get like EJ Gaines, they get kind of these patchwork people for the second cornerback, and they're usually taken advantage of, and it's fine. But we've been lucky that we really, for the most part, haven't had injury problems there. And if there's a little bit of that happens, I think that really crushes this team as it stands right now. If they don't kind of pick up someone, or Dane Jackson, Levi Wallace don't make a big jump.
Are we not going to talk about Taron Johnson, the most impactful play of the last 25 years, right? In Bill's history, do you guys just going to not mention his name? Did you not see that interception return 1,000 times this offseason?
I don't even think they like him that much. I think this is his last year.
I thought we were going to sign him to a 10-year, $9 million deal.
He threw the ball right to him.
Okay, great. Have you ever run 110 yards, Greg? No, I'm looking at you. You haven't. You haven't done
ran
that.
a marathon,
at once,
and then he bitched about it for fucking 3 years. He told us about his shin splints.
And here's the thing too. Here's the thing with Taron Johnson. Not only fine, he throws the ball right to him. He ends up he returns that ball 110 yards right to the camera, and his immediate reward for doing that is Micah Hyde slamming his face directly into the hardest surface. He somehow found the hardest surface in the entire stadium and just fucking face planted him right into it.
Yeah, not only did they throw the ball right to him, he should have went down in the end zone.
Okay, but he didn't know we won the game. Shut up, Greg. Why are you being that guy?
I'm just saying, hey, play smart. He got lucky. I don't want to get lucky. I want to win a championship. You go down in the end zone. What are your odds? Play your odds. He could have fumbled that ball. We could have lost to Baltimore.
God, you are my uncle who hires a 2-fingered woman to give me a hand job. You're the fucking worst.
Oh, dude, I am going to punch my crotch. It's so hot hearing about this. 2-finger hand jobs. That's all I care about now.
Is that the 2-fingered ant there?
Yeah, that'd be the one.
Yeah. Was that on air? Were we talking? Yeah, we did. All right. You get that, Sean?
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course.
I want
I'm just
to
gonna make a video out of this part.
I want to bring up some stats here, which I found interesting. 5 of the past 10 seasons, including 2 of the past 4 under McDermott, the Bills have ranked in the bottom 10 in sacks. Meanwhile, 7 of the past 10 seasons, they've ranked in the top 10 in pass defense. So I guess what I'm saying is you can make cornerbacks work. McDermott especially has shown it. You can make average guys work. You cannot make average defensive linemen way better or scheme with average defensive linemen. You have to improve that. If you improve the pass rush, the average cornerback will turn into a above average cornerback. And I don't think it's reversed.
I mean, like I said, I think it's fair. I don't dislike the draft. I'm just saying the weakness.
I will fight you. If
Well,
you
that
keep
is regardless.
disagreeing with me, I'll fight you.
I'm just saying the big weakness right now. If this team has a weakness, it's the I think it's the cornerbacks.
They lost in the AFC Championship game to a good team. Like, it is a shitty game. It wasn't really close, but they had like 2 shitty games last year. They
Yeah, but
destroyed
Greg, I heard
the
that-
Colts in Baltimore, like from a defensive standpoint. Like, they controlled those 2 teams.
No, but I just heard on a really relevant podcast that they should have been in that AFC Championship game because a guy made a play to win them the fucking game.
He got lucky. You want to get lucky. So no, their defense was not terrible.
I do, to Duffy's earlier point, I do think it's fun that they trust this roster enough that they're just almost like, fuck it, whoever we like, we're gonna pay. Like, as long as it's not a quarterback, they're just like, all right, we like this guy, we'll take it. You know, they just want to improve the team any position they can do it.
So I don't know anything about anything. I'm not going to pretend like I even know the guy's name. I'm going to bring it up right here. The tackle they took in the 3rd round, Tommy Doyle, is that his name?
Spencer Brown was third.
Spencer Brown. Okay, I'm sorry. That tackle from Northern Iowa, the giant guy that's like super athletic. Did I hear he's going to be like, people are talking about him becoming the reverse Jason Peterson, becoming a tight end? Is there anything?
So all right, I got you here.
Good, thank you.
A lot of research because I thought he ended his career when he jumped through that table. Which, by the way, quick aside, can we stop that with 300-pound people that are going to be paid millions of dollars to be football players? Can we just stop that from happening? Now I sound like Greg.
Or everyone on Earth.
Okay,
because
fine. So the kid played tight end, and he started playing high school football late. They had him playing tight end, then he switched to tackle like his senior year. Then he showed up and was going to play tight end, and then they switched him to D-line and O-line. So he's only played offensive line, if I'm not mistaken, consistently for 2 years, and he's put on 25 pounds in the offseason. So, like, this is another one of those, like, down the road depth linemen, potentially, you know, concrete tackles that Bean's looking at, like, ooh, I could save some money for a little while.
Whenever they tell the story about the guy didn't start playing football until like high school, I know that story. All of a sudden, he's getting a little bigger. Dad's watching him walk in, and he's like, I am so sick of working at that fucking mechanic station. This kid's gonna fucking start playing some football so I can retire at 48. Like there's a coach in the school that's like, no, this fucking kid is playing football. We need to get the 2-fingered ant in here to start giving him a hand job to force him onto this team.
I like obviously the offensive line pick because, you know, the offensive line is the second most important part of the game there, in my opinion. But I also I know Darrell Williams played good last year and warranted a new contract 100%. And this isn't anything against him, but last year at this exact time, we were looking at a newly signed Quentin Spain 3-year, $15 million contract going, we don't need any guard. We just signed Spain. The offensive line's back. 2 games into the season, he's done or whatever. So it's just like that little bit of like, could that happen to him? Why not? It's the exact same story. A guy that was performing fine somewhere else came here, kind of performed better than he was at his last stop. They re-sign him to a new contract, and all of a sudden, maybe he takes that step back again.
Yeah.
But now this kid who is a fucking tight end. It's Lee Smith on steroids. And
by the way, is actually Lee Smith. That is the actual Lee Smith.
I would
find out that's Lee Smith. I swear to God.
I would love if the Bills were so confident in their team. Just in the 7th round, they drafted Lee Smith. They're like, fuck it.
Bro, 2 tours of duty. Like, not only did they draft him, he goes gets a massive contract for the Raiders. Fuck it, bring him back. Why not? Fuck it. And they got got a draft pick for him, by the way. They got a draft pick that was higher than the pick they drafted Lee Smith for 10 years after they drafted him.
So that would have been a 6th rounder they got?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, because they had 3 6th rounders. I don't
Well,
remember that.
they well, that's why the especially weird draft. I mean, Bean didn't trade up at any point. He traded back once, and even still, Kyle's personal god Joe B would like whenever the pick came up, he'd be like, "I think the Bills are going to get one of these 6 people," and they wouldn't get any of those people. I was like, "Oh my god, this draft is going crazy."
We did get a guy with a new awesome name, and I'm sure, Duffy, you're going to get his jersey regardless of how he is. Wild Goose.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And, not predicting he's going to turn into a Hall of Famer, but PFF, which, as we know, Bills fans absolutely love them when they say nice things and absolutely hate them when they criticize the Bills in any way. He was on their NFL draft all upside team for defensive backs. So that's pretty cool. Wild Goose.
What the fuck is an all upside team? There are a bunch of kids coming out of college.
I think our entire draft was on the all upside team.
The entire NFL draft.
Yeah.
All
these kids have upside technically.
I'm such an idiot watching the draft because I don't follow college football, and I'm just very optimistic. So I'm like watching these picks roll in with all the highlights. I'm like, wow, all our teams are going to be good this year.
Yeah. It's crazy how every team got so much better right now.
Did you guys notice, okay, so I don't know if it was new this year or they've done it the last couple of years, because like an idiot, I'm Greg, I'm with you, man. Like I hate the fact that I have to watch the first round for work, especially this year, excuse me, because I got to be up at 2:30 and I'm up to 11:30. Like I was telling myself lying in bed, so help me God, if the Bills trade out of the first round after I stayed up to fucking 11:15, I'm going to burn my house down. But then for the rest of the weekend, like I'll be sitting around and and then I find myself watching the draft in the 4th, 5th, 6th round for like 2 straight hours. So when they're recapping these picks, they'll show the highlights and some of the guys will be criticizing them, but none of the package is bad shit. It's only the greatest thing these guys have ever done. So you'll have Mel Kiper Jr. on like the 3rd day. Well, this kid can't XYZ, and all of a sudden it's the greatest interception you've ever seen from South Dakota State defensive back. Like, oh, he could really, use better hands. Meanwhile, he's like ducking and dodging 17 people on a fucking return. Like, what are you doing?
Carrying a maiden over his shoulders to bring her to safety. So on that package thing, I'll say this, and maybe we can jump on this. The Patriots got Mac Jones. They showed his package, and it was the most uneventful, shitty highlight package I've ever seen. Like, he doesn't look that good, and that was the best they came up with.
It looked like a Tom Brady package of the past 20 years, just standing there and dinking and dunking off to shallow crossing.
I was sweating that they were going to just get Fields dropped in their lap. That was the only thing I cared about, really, and especially the first half of the draft. I was like, please don't let that kid fall to New England, who doesn't even have to trade up for it. It's the only draft that I've ever watched where QBs kind of like fell. People traded up for Mitchell Trubisky. Quarterbacks, if they have any shred of talent, they go immediately. And it just felt like in this draft, Fields and Jones, however they end up being, it's crazy to me that like Detroit and Carolina, Denver, none of these people that need quarterbacks were taking these guys. And I was like, if New England gets fucking Fields by just sitting there and doing nothing, I will burn Duffy's house down.
Okay, come on over. By the way, we're not allowed to badmouth Mitchell Trubisky anymore. What are you doing? Why are you doing that?
This is a Mitchell Trubisky safe zone.
Well, they didn't draft him to be a really good backup. That's what Sean was saying.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's very nice. Too late. So is anyone else not scared with Mac Jones in New England at all? Because, Belichick is notoriously not good at drafting, which everyone is always shocked by, right? Like, if you tweet that, every fucking idiot that thinks they know what they're talking about goes, oh, well, let me show you 3 draft picks of the last 25 years that worked out, right? Like, it's almost at the point now where Belichick knows he's not good. He called up his best friend, Saban, in Alabama and was like, can the kid play? And he's like, yeah, of course the kid can play. And they just drafted, like, fuck it. I'm not even doing my homework. I'm just going to take this, my friend's buddy. He's mine. Fuck it.
I'm still scarred about the past 20 years. So instantly I'm like, they won what they win 7 games last year with Cam Newton, who has 1 arm. You know what I mean? Like, of course, and they were missing half their defense.
Sorry.
You are out of your mind if you don't think the Pats are going to be good this year. Mac Jones is instantly better than Cam Newton. If Cam Newton is what he was last year, I think they're instantly better. Just with the guys coming back from the COVID list, they're instantly better. Now, I'm not saying they're good enough to compete with the Bills, but if you think the Bills are going to sweep the division again, you're living a daydream here.
They're going to sweep the division again. Mac Jones is dog shit, and he's not even going to get on the field right away. It's like the perfect scenario
I love that.
Cam Newton's going to be good enough in training camp to win, and Mac Jones is going to be sitting there long enough to drive fans crazy who don't realize yet he's dog shit, but the coach will after watching him throughout training camp, and he's going to be dog shit, and then Cam Newton's one arm is going to fall off, and he's going to get in there, and he's just going to be a big pile of dog shit.
Can we also talk about the other thing I find very odd, and I agree with Kyle about all the dog shit points. They gave Cam Newton $12 million. They're not going to cut him. You're right. You have to have him there as your opening day starter. So Bill Belichick is what, 84 years old right now?
Roughly, yeah.
No,
he's old.
He sold some years to the devil, so he might be a little older.
But I'm shocked that he was going to decide to take on a project like Mac Jones as a first-round quarterback, because best case scenario, let's say everything works out for him. He's not going to be what Belichick needs him to be for 3 seasons, at which point he's in his mid-70s. If any team was poised to go out and spend capital on a veteran QB, it would have been the Patriots, yet they didn't do it, which just lends to my theory that this entire fucking time, Bill Belichick has had no idea what he's doing. He's taken advantage of these weird-ass little rules that only he knows because he's this football nerd that nobody ever liked, and Tom Brady did all the heavy lifting. And I'm excited to have that theory proven true again when that pile of dog shit shows up and has to play for the Patriots.
Me too.
Yeah.
I sign in. I'm in.
I think, again, with Mac Jones, I'm so glad, as Sean said, I'm so glad they didn't get Fields with any rushing ability. I love that they got a pocket passer, and they're going to try to recreate the 2000s. And I just love that. There's just no way Mac Jones is turning into Drew Brees and Phillip Rivers or Tom Brady, the last, massive pocket passers who threw for 5,000 yards. He's just not turning into that. His ceiling is probably prime Andy Dalton. The problem is prime Andy Dalton on a really good coached team, not a Marvin Lewis team that was out in the wild card. I think prime Andy Dalton could do some damage with a Bill Belichick led team. I'm not saying that they're going to create another dynasty. I'm just saying there could be, create a little headache there.
You can't be 22 and not have lateral movement in place professional sports. If you're me, you can, and I didn't and still don't, but you can't start your career as Drew Bledsoe's mobility, unless you're as good as Drew Bledsoe was, and he's not.
And let's keep in mind, right? There's a reason why Alabama quarterbacks since Joe Namath haven't succeeded. It's because they're always throwing and handing off to the best fucking position players in the country, right? Mac Jones and all these guys celebrating, well, look how good this Alabama team is. That's why Mac Jones belongs where he does. No, I would make the argument that's why he doesn't belong drafted at 15 and ended up in New England. Because when you have 2 of your receivers and your running back and multiple offensive linemen go in the first 2 rounds, tells me wasn't a lot of heavy lifting going on there for Mac Jones in Alabama.
Just like Banana Boy. All those Alabama recruits getting those illegal 2-finger hand jobs to play football down there.
Before we move on, Sean, can I bring up a tweet of the draft?
Yeah, of course.
We can just end the podcast.
We have to do a trivia game.
Oh,
Sean,
God,
his name is Trivia on the screen. All right, so this one is from Kyle M. It's at Kyle M315. We have enough listeners now where some of these people might be listening. Also, 36 people. So he tweeted out, this is after the first round. He tweeted out, this fits the athletic freak / diamond in the rough first round selection strategy we've seen out of Brandon Beane. There is a lot of trust in the Bills coaching staff's ability to develop players. And to be fair, they've earned it. # Bills by a billion. My only problem with this tweet is I don't think Kyle M knows what a diamond in the rough is. There are no diamonds in the rough in the first round, my man. Those are just good players. And my question to you guys is, when does the diamond in the rough start? My theory would be the 5th round. I think 4th is still a little too high. I think diamond in the rough starts at 5th and obviously goes to undrafted.
It's fair.
Yeah, I think that's fair. No, you're right. Like first 2.5 days, you're right. You have to be a 5th round pick. But I even if you're drafted, like that diamond in the rough still feels icky because they liked you enough where they were like, all right, we're going to write your name down on a card. Like I think the only true diamond in the rough comes from undrafted players that succeed in the NFL. Or if you're drafted late and succeed changing your position, then you're a diamond in the rough as well.
So like Jabari Greer. That's it.
Jabari Greer.
Are you thinking about Justin Will? Who?
No, the cornerback. He was undrafted. He ended up going in.
Oh, I thought you meant switch your position. I thought you were talking George Wilson, also undrafted, switch positions.
Oh, okay. So he's a good diamond in the rough.
I know more than you, Greg.
So Matt
I'm
Milano.
not fucking arguing that. You think I know a goddamn thing about football? Do you
Greg,
think I
you
care?
have a podcast. Stick up for
No,
yourself.
it's his. Look how good he is. He knows shit. Just take him.
You didn't
He's
watch
a
the draft? You didn't
broadcaster.
watch it? You didn't see him draft Eric Flowers on Saturday at 2:00? You didn't watch that?
Please
So-
take my job, Pat.
so
Please.
Matt
It's
Milano-
fucking yours. I don't care.
Matt Milano, no diamond in the rough then, because he was drafted.
Call him 5th round.
I mean, it's not like he was fucking hanging out outside the stadium selling donuts, and it was like, "Hey, you."
All right. I mean, you guys may have convinced me that diamond in the rough might just be for undrafted players.
It counts on American Idol because these kids, I mean, they're just they find the talent they dig, and they're superstars, and no one even knew.
One last thing I want to say is I think Duffy touched on this recently, is that the players now we draft, they don't need to be good. But in the opposite side of that is I think, like, if this roster played KC right now, I think the people that we need to see the improvement from is not this draft class, but the 2nd and 3rd year players. For us to get over the hump next year, I think it's going to take a step up from, Singletary, Knox, Moss, Oliver, Gabe Davis, etc., to get us over the hump. Because I think these kids a lot of them are young and like project types that aren't going to make a huge difference this year.
Yeah, but you also have to keep in mind, there were a lot of guys that were playing hurt that we knew about. There's a lot of guys that were playing hurt that we didn't know about. So depth was an issue a little bit towards the end of last season. It's possible that if you have players that you were counting on, or players that you didn't need to count on but could play behind those guys that were playing hurt against Kansas City, maybe you're not rushing guys back. Maybe you're able to do different things. I mean, when I see a draft class like we saw, that's what I'm thinking. Like towards the end of the season, they're where they need to be, where they can make an impact in a short term where guys weren't last season.
And the good news is these guys are, such athletic freaks. You can just throw them out there.
Diamond in the rough, man.
Diamond in the rough
in the
players,
rough.
man.
That's right. There's our T-shirt.
Before we
You
go
said one more thing. You said one more thing,
that's what I'm
and now
doing.
you're doing another thing.
No, I'm not doing another
Wait.
thing.
Can I, one more question? Not about the draft.
hate this
Are we
fucking
kind of
podcast.
like a diamond in the rough podcast?
No.
Oh,
I think we're a diamond. We don't have, we're not as big as the other guys, but like
Yeah.
if you find us in the depths of iTunes, you're like, check out these guys. And then,
No,
you don't
that's
make
all.
it past any of Greg's intros, but if you do, we're a diamond in the rough.
That's a reference. Like there's no patch of landscape anywhere that we are a diamond. I'll give us like copper. Like
Copper in the rough.
Like a meth head will break into your house to rip this podcast out and sell it. But we're not diamonds. Like you're not going to engage a woman with our podcast. So we're a copper in the rough. I'll give you that.
okay.
We'll scrap. We're a toilet pipe in the rough. A copper toilet pipe. That's the best I'm gonna do.
Greg, that's a perfect segue to this, which is that we have a new Duffy. We have a Patreon. We have a Joe B tier, and whoever gets this tier gets to basically gets a blurb an episode. And
Can I pause you real quick? I know you're doing a great job driving this show. You're doing awesome. How many Patreons do you have for this podcast?
27.
Yeah, 27.
You have 27 people that are giving you money for this?
I mean, we provide them with extra content.
They get a Greg Bach. They get a Greg Bach blog every week, and it's fucking good. Like it's
Like, man,
good.
look, I love you guys because 2 out of the 3 I've worked with you before. You're good shit. It's fun busting balls and shooting the shit with you. Right. But like, you could not there's not an amount of money you could give me to be in a car by myself for 45 minutes and listen to this shit. And there's 27 people giving you money for it, even though it's free and pointless. What the fuck is wrong with you sad people?
Well, part of the Patreon, you get 2-fingered hand jobs.
Yeah.
It's a callback, bitch. It's
I
a
actually
callback.
had to cut off my aunt's own fingers to
Like the Prestige.
Patreon.
You had to cut off your fingers
I
like
had
that
to go,
movie,
I
The
go, hey,
Prestige.
we need you. We need this $5 a month Patreon.
That's right. So, anyways, we have a new Joe B tiered
Yeah,
Patreon.
a
member.
great thank you, Duffy, for the great pitch for our Patreon.
Yeah.
If anybody
Um,
wants, check us out on our page.
If you need me, I'm gonna go kill myself.
So we have a new Joe B tier, Thomas Mulchi. I believe I'm saying his name right. If not, he'll let me know.
Couldn't find out.
Yeah, you're so his little blurb is he wanted to tell us that our last Patreon episode talking about Buffalo reminded him that he misses Buffalo and that he hates living in Phoenix. In Phoenix, there is 0 local culture. It takes 30 minutes to get anywhere. It's 500 degrees 8 months out of the year. There's no trees, and overall, it's a gigantic piece of shit.
Oh wow.
So,
Man, who do you think hates where they live more? Me in New York City or him in Arizona? Obviously me, because I decided to move back to Buffalo. So.
True, but it was really close. But as always, thank you, Thomas. And let's get into the trivia game today.
Yes. About fucking time.
We have a jersey on the line that I know Duffy's gonna want. He
By the
probably
way,
doesn't.
I've won this twice, I think, and I've never gotten a fucking jersey from you assholes.
It's going all the way
What
to
Patreon do I have to
Rochester.
sign up for?
Sean, is that true?
It's going all the way to Rochester. That takes time.
It takes time.
It's like the Silk Road. It takes time to
Silk
craft that.
The
Buffalo to
Jersey-
Rochester.
The Jersey Road. The jersey available today is David Sills. David Sills the fifth.
Yeah.
He was
I loved him in college.
Sills.
He was a 2019 UDFA, still plays for the Giants, FYI. And he's it's a notable jersey because the name of the game today, I'm going to give you each a name, and you have to tell me if that is a person the Bills just signed as an undrafted free agent or a name I got from somewhere else.
No,
I did not pay attention to any of this.
Well, yeah, of course you didn't. That's why I knew that was going to happen. So, Greg, we're going to start with Greg. Greg, your name is Vince Larkin, and remember, spelling is available if you ever need it.
I think I can spell Vince Larkin.
Vince Larkin.
That sounds a lot like some character Ben Affleck. Was that Ben Affleck's name in the movie Paycheck? I'm going to say no, it is not a Bill.
Greg, you are correct. That is John Cusack's character in Con Air.
Wow. So I wasn't
you
too
were
far off.
Dead on, man.
That was pretty close. We're going to go to Kyle next. Tariq Thompson.
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds like a football player.
That is a safety out of
Nice.
San Diego
By
State.
the way, also leading podcast in subtle racism, Tariq Thompson.
That's a black guy
For some
right there.
reason.
Yeah.
Oh boy. There
Well-
goes one of the Patreons.
well, Duffy, your name is Cyrus Tuatelli.
Is that the kid from Utah they signed as a UDFA?
I don't know. Is that your guess?
I'm going to say yes.
You are also correct. That's an offensive tackle from Fresno State.
Same colors.
Same
Close enough.
region. Same region.
Greg, to you, Garland Green.
Garland Green. You're a fucking cock. I don't know. I'm going to say no, it's not a Bill.
Greg, that's correct. That is Steve Buscemi's character in Con Air.
Wow. The psychopath, the Hannibal Lecter type.
Yeah.
Yes. I gotta
Kyle,
watch Con Air again.
Kyle, to you, Quentin Morris.
You know, I think they learned their lesson with Quentin Spain, so I'm going to say no, not a guy.
Because that sounds like a football player to me.
It's another Con Air character.
No, that is a tight end from Bowling Green. I'm sorry, Kyle.
Damn.
A first miss. Duffy, can you keep pace with Greg for your name, Nick McLeod?
Nick McLeod. Oh, God, that could be a tight end. and it could also be a really shitty airplane themed movie character. I'm going to say it's a character from Con Air.
Is it one of the Centurions, that toy in
No,
cartoon?
What was
is-
that Kevin Hart Snoop Dogg airplane movie?
Soul Plane.
Soul Plane.
That is Nick McLeod is a cornerback from Notre Dame.
Wow.
Fuck, oh, I knew that too. I watched every goddamn Notre Dame game for no reason. He wasn't in Con Air. Fuck this shit, dude.
All right, going into the final round, there is tiebreakers if we need it. Greg's in the driver's seat, 2-1. Greg, your name, Fox McCloud.
Fox McCloud.
Fuck you, Fox McCloud.
I don't know. The Bills drafted a bunch of fucking boogers and shit. So Fox McCloud is playable, but I'm going to say no. He is not a Bill. I feel bad because I feel like this might be wrong because Sean's given me 2 non-Bills. But I'm saying no Bill.
Well, that's why I tried to trick you, but that's the main character in the Star Fox video game series.
You gave it. That should have been reversed.
Yeah, you idiot. How do you not know how to do this?
Of course, they're not going to sign 2
I
McLeods.
thought-
There's 10 McLeods in America.
I thought it was,
There's only like 12 in Ireland.
I thought Greg would still screw it up. That's why I did it that way.
All right, this McCloud is legitimate. How about this next McCloud?
I think McCloud's in America is an excellent band name.
Kyle, your name, Trey Walker.
Yes.
That's correct. That's a wide receiver from San Jose State. Duffy,
Trey Runner.
Jackson Briggs.
I hate you so much. Like the last, like Sean, you used to be like one of my favorite people that I didn't have to see all that often. And in the last 3 minutes, that has turned. Okay, you were saying, I'm sorry, you said a name and I was so fucking furious with you. I did not hear what you said.
You know what? If you get this right, I'll give you a bonus name.
What about
As
me?
the guest. No, Kyle doesn't get one. Oh,
All right, what was the name? What was the name?
This one, Jackson Briggs.
Jackson Briggs. Oh my God. See, that could be a football player, but it also sounds like a shitty side character from like a video game that they turned into a movie.
That's a Mortal Kombat character for sure.
Yeah,
In my
right?
head.
It does
I
sound
don't
like
know.
that.
I don't know if that's actual, Greg. Relax.
No, that's exactly what I thought, though. It's exactly what he's got, like a metal arm for some reason, right? Like, I'm going to say it's not a Bill. I'm going to say it's a movie character from some shitty fucking media that you enjoy.
Guys.
It's Mortal Kombat and he has metal arms.
Is that
Was I right?
Yeah,
I Googled it.
Yep. That's the full name of Jax from Mortal Kombat.
Give him
Fucking
the
nailed
jersey.
it. All right.
Give him the jersey.
No, you know what? Because he nailed that, you and Greg are going to bonus.
Okay.
Ooh.
Come on. I got the movie.
And I would never Google to cheat, but I liked Googling that because I had no plan it. So.
Okay. So because I was so impressed by that, we're going into a bonus round here. Greg,
I'm excited and ready.
No, Kyle, you don't get to play.
I'm sitting on the fucking
Greg,
bench, you little bitch.
Harry Stamper.
No, that's I've heard that name. That's not a Bill. That's from a movie.
You're
Harry
right.
Stamper.
That is Bruce Willis's character in Armageddon.
Okay.
Duffy, you need this to keep pace. Elijah Griffin.
Oh, that's 100% a football player.
That is.
Okay.
That is a cornerback from USC who is the was that the son of Nate Dogg? Who did we sign?
Oh no, we got we got a rapper's son.
Yes.
And it's an initial. His first name was an initial, and I want to say it is N. Can't remember. No, his second initial was an N, or was a letter.
All right. I thought it was Nate Dogg. I'll look it up, but we'll see. Okay. Greg, to you.
Oh boy.
Nathan Jones.
Nathan Jones. Warren G is the name of
Warren
the
G. That's
yeah.
what it
Okay,
was,
so
yes.
Nathan Jones.
I knew it was someone in Regulators, but I forgot who. Okay.
Nathan Jones. I'm going to say that sounds like a football player name.
You are incorrect. That's
Wow,
Vin
my first wrong
Yeah.
one, and that was the first time I said football player.
By the way, you are selling it so poor. Like, you want this to end so bad. Like, you're the worst fucking actor I've ever seen, Greg. Oh, man, that sounds... Oh, no, I thought I had it. Oh, fuck.
That's right. Oh no, I get to go have sex with my wife. Oh, darn.
That was, of course, Ving Rhames' character in Con Air. And Duffy, if you get this,
Please, for the love of God, get
you
this.
win.
I'll Google it for you.
Josh Allen.
Watch my eyes. Yeah, Josh Allen.
It's
Devin Singletary.
it's just another Sonya Blade.
What the fuck is her name? Tomb Raider.
Laura Crawford.
Xena.
All right, I'm ready. What do you got? I'm ready.
Godzilla.
Steve Easton.
Ooh.
That's tough.
Because that could be, see, if that was an NFL player, he would have been a quarterback drafted in the 80s at some point. Like, that's a quarterback from the 80s name. It's too old to be a modern NFL player. I'm going to say that is not a Bills UDFA.
I couldn't find it on Google. There's no Steve Easton. So.
Well, you probably spelled it wrong. It's Eastin, and
Oh,
that,
I
of
did.
course, is an actor who played a guard in Con Air. Congrats, Duffy. You've won again against all odds.
Or 33% odds, but
yeah.
And by the way, I would like all you kids that want to be coaches one day listening to this podcast. That's how you work a referee, by losing my shit on Sean earlier. Everything slowly got easier towards the
start in the
very
first
important.
quarter. That's
It did
right.
help. It did help. That can't be a flag. God!
Yeah.
Oh, you're not going to notice the holds? You're not going to notice
Yeah.
the hold?
That guy's holding me. Dude, the game didn't start. Yeah, all right.
If I
Couldn't even
didn't
get to the coin toss.
If I didn't hear you describe accurately the Mortal Kombat character, who it was, I mean, that was, you had help from Kyle for sure. If you want, you could cut off a sleeve, give it to him, something like that. But
Okay.
it was impressive.
Also,
Think-
there was a Jacob Easton taken last year,
That's
Indy quarterback. So,
That's
Yeah, see how important the draft is? Duffy, thank you for coming on the podcast on a fucking
Yes.
gorgeous Sunday afternoon to talk
I-
bullshit with
I
three
want to
idiots.
tell you, Duffy, every time we make our off-season list of guests, we're always like, well, Duffy's episode is going to be great. So we have to put him somewhere where like people will listen.
Oh, guys. I'm blushing.
when we first had you on, I think we had you on in like an August or a July episode, and we were like, oh, those get like maybe 100 listens. Let's
Mhm.
move them to the couple hundred listeners.
You are the number 3 song on the album. Like that drives the album. Like people are going to listen to 2 songs. They want to get to the 3rd. And then like we put, I don't know, like Rick Matthews, like as the 10th song by then everyone.
geez.
Well, then in that case, can you go back and cut out all the mean shit I said about your Patreon? Because now I feel really bad.
No, they
We're
love
going to
it.
put reverb behind all of the hand job references. We're trying something new to get
And-
the younger
And
generation.
I very quickly have to mention 30 seconds, Craig. Calm down. That we're on the Helium Podcasting Network. Go listen to some of their other shows. Kyle was just on that podcast Hell Gigs. I heard that was funny.
Yeah,
and all the Heliums are open. Go check out a show. Rate us on iTunes. Leave a
Duffy, I'd
review.
love to. You'd be a good guest on that. When did you do stand-up? What years were you active, according to your Wikipedia page?
So I was doing it for a living, age 17 to like 24. So 02 till, yeah, you get it, bro. You want to talk about hell gigs? Dear Lord, baby G.
those early 2000s, because I'm sure you and Greg could have a fun little go back. And those are the VFWs back then were probably a lot crazy.
VFWs, Moose Lodges were always a good time. The town governments from like these itty bitty towns that would like call you from 300 miles away, and you get there. Okay, only jokes about polka. It's like, all right, great. Give me $100. Get me the fuck out of here.
That's it. That's the fucking
Yeah.
podcast.
I
swear to
agree.
God. Okay.
I agree.
Good. Everyone, thank you. Shut up. One Love and Sweeto.
There once was a team in the NFL, and the name of the team was the Buffalo Bills. The kick sailed right, and the fans did grow. No, no, Buffalo, no. Soon may the Allen man come to throw to Beasley and Diggs and run. One day when the playoffs are done, we'll have won that Super Bowl. A ship once led by Marv Levy, with a Bennett and a Thurman and a Jim Kelly. The ship sailed true o'er 1,000 days, never won that Super Bowl. Soon may the Allen man come to throw to Beasley and Diggs and run. One day when the season is done, we'll have won that Super Bowl. Turn of the century come and gone. Alas, these Bills tread the playoff road. 18 years of sorrow and dread fell o'er Buffalo. Soon may the Allen man come to throw to Beasley and Diggs and run. One day when the season is done, we'll have won that Super Bowl. A light shone dim in 17, Taylor McDermott and Brandon Bean. Bills fought hard but needed help. Throw, Dalton, throw. Oh, now the Dalton man comes to throw to Boyd on 4th and long. 18 years of playoff drought fled from Buffalo. 7th in the draft, McBean, Cedar man, plucked from Wyoming to Josh Allen. 2 years later, a stud named Diggs lands in Buffalo. Hey, now the Allen man comes to throw to Beasley and Diggs and run. One day when the season is done, we'll have won that Super Bowl. The future has come with records laid low. High are the hopes of dear Buffalo. On a wing and a prayer, our voices soar. Let's go Buffalo. Hey, now the Allen man comes to throw to Beasley and Diggs and run. One day when the playoffs are done, we'll have won that Super Bowl.